Good evening. Tonight I'm going to do a reading from the 18th arcanum of Meditations on the Tarot, which is the Moon arcanum. And this is from the Art the Erg tarot deck. Dear unknown friend, the prohibition to Lot and his family against looking back, David's sin in having numbered the people of Israel, and the characteristic traits of human intelligence as opposed to intuition, formulated by Henry Bergson, have this in common, that they relate to the problem of the inversion of the forward movement of life. That is, they relate to the problem of retrograde movement. It is in the problem of retrograde movement, contrary to that of life, which is suggested spontaneously by the card of the 18th major arcanum of the tarot, the Moon. Through the totality of the context of its card, the 18th arcanum of the tarot invites us to a spiritual exercise, to a meditation on that which arrests evolutionary movement and tends to give it a direction in an inverse sense. And just as the dominant and principal theme of the 17th arcanum, the star, is the agent of growth, so it is a matter in the 18th arcanum of the special agent of diminution, the principle of the eclipse. In the case of the 18th arcanum, it is a matter neither of temptation from outside, which is the subject of the 6th arcanum, the lovers, nor of the devils and demons, the intoxicating and enslaving forces which constitute the subject of the 15th arcanum, the devil, nor even of the presumptuous tendency to build towers of Babel, which is the subject of the 16th arcanum, but rather of something which is there, which is given and imposed on every incarnated human soul by the very fact of being incarnated, that is, which the fate of being incarnated entails with necessity. The principle of the eclipse, or the agent of diminution, would be present and active in us even if the devil and all demons resigned, and even if all human beings learnt the lesson of humility and abandoned the desire to build towers of Babel. The sun, moon and stars are, according to Genesis, lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth, whose creation constituted the 4th day of creation in the world. Human consciousness in a field where 3 kinds of light are manifest. It is the field: creative light, reflected light, and revealed light. The first participates in the work of the creation of the world, such that it has continued since the 6th day of creation, which we now call creative evolution. The second illumines the dark field action of the human will, which we now call matter. The last orientates us towards transcendent values and truths, which constitute, as it were, the supreme court of appeal, the ultimate criterion of all that is of worth and all that is of true in space and time. It is thanks to these 3 types of light that man is at one and the same time a creator participating in creative evolution, a master of matter, author of the work of civilization, and that he is a kneeling worshipper of God, capable of orienting his will towards the divine will. Creative consciousness, reflecting intelligence, and revelation from above are the 3 lights of the human microcosm, its sun, moon, and stars. The three major arcana of the tarot, the star, the moon and the sun, are those of light revealed from above, reflecting intelligence and creative consciousness. We were occupied with the stellar arcanum in the star. In the following letter, the sun, we shall be occupied with the solar arcanum. In this letter, it is a matter of the lunar arcanum, that is, the arcanum of the inseparable couple, the earth and its satellite, the moon, or, for the microcosm, materiality and intelligence. The 18th arcanum reveals the relationship between the moon and the earth. It deals with the couple moon-earth as such. Intelligence concentrates only on the harvest, on the product, and not on the production, which is, for it, only the means, a series of steps, for arriving at the product. It is always the result to which it aspires. It is always the autumn of things and events which it has in view. It is orientated towards facts, accomplished things, and not towards the process of creation, or that of becoming. The springtime and the summer of things and events either escape it or are taken into account only under the aspects of autumn, as its stages of preparation. Germination and growth are then considered only in relation to the harvest. Mobility coming into being, this is germination and growth, whilst the harvest is what is become, it is only the product. Quite other than the principle underlying intelligence, the principle of autumn is that underlying the intuition of faith. And from the Gospel of John, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and nothing that was made without him. In him was life, and the life was light. The Gospel, according to John, advances here the principle of the intuition of faith, the principle of springtime. It is the beginning, the springtime of things of the world, to which the Gospel of St. John aspires, and it is the creative word, the mobility itself at the heart of life and underlying the light of consciousness, that it advances as the point of departure for all that follows. The Gospel of St. John invites us from the outset to an unparalleled act of violence to our intelligence, in transposing from autumn, where it is at home, to full springtime, from the harvest to the sowing, from things made to the creative word, from vivified things to life itself, from illumined things to light itself. The Gospel of John appeals to the human soul to transpose its intelligence from autumn into full springtime, to rejuvenate it by placing it in the domain of creativity instead of that of the created, that is, to accomplish a conjunction of the sun and moon, expressing it in astrological terms. This means to say that if the postulate of intelligence is that there is nothing new under the sun, it is invited to adapt itself to the pure and simple creativity expressed in the formula, "In the beginning was the Word." That if intelligence represents clearly to itself only immobility, it is bidden to plunge itself into the act of pure creation of the Word. that if intelligence represents clearly to itself only discontinuity, it finds itself confronted with the Word, in which is the life, which is the light of men. That if intelligence has for its principal object inorganic solidity, it now has a task of understanding both the whole world as the organisatory act of the Word, and Jesus Christ as the cosmic Word made flesh. That if lastly intelligence is characterised by a natural incomprehension of life, it is now to understand the Word at the heart of life, and the life underlying the light of consciousness. And all this it will do not in order to understand, that is, in order to reap that which is, but rather in order to effect an act of becoming, in order to accomplish the birth of the new, that is, of that which is not. Because to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who were born, not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. Here is the difference between the nature of intelligence and that of intuition of faith, between the principle of autumn and that of spring. The former is understanding of that which is. The latter is participation in the becoming of that which is to be. Insofar as emeticism is concerned, it has a history of continuous and sustained effort aimed at an alliance of intelligence and the intuition of faith, the alchemical marriage of the sun and the moon. The essence of Bergsonian yoga, as in Henri Bergson, that is, the practical method of making intelligence unite itself with instinct or the principle of sympathy, so that the latter can extend its subject matter and reflect upon itself, or in other words, so as to develop intuition. The endeavour that Bergson has in mind is what the Kabbalah calls kavana, and the result of this endeavour, that Bergson calls intuition, is called da'ath. Kavana is profound meditation, that is, the endeavour of intelligence which aims at plunging into the depths of darkness surrounding it. Profound meditation, or kavana, is neither only concentration of the light of intelligence with a view to the intensification of its clarity, nor is it only the endeavour of intelligence to arrive at knowledge of itself. Profound meditation is the endeavour of intelligence to probe the dark depths which surround it and to which it finds access by means of sympathy, instead of through exercise of its own logical, analytical and critical faculties. In Kabbalistic terms, it is therefore a matter of the marriage of the principle of intelligence, the Sephirah Binah, and the principle of wisdom, the Sephirah Hokmah, in the middle pillar of the Sephiroth tree. Da'ath is therefore the state of consciousness where intelligence and wisdom, acquired and acquirable knowledge on the one hand, and latent and actualizable knowledge on the other hand, become one. It is the same state of consciousness that the Church calls intellect illumined by grace. Grace being the principle actualizing within us latent knowledge of the image and likeness of God, and intellect being the Bergsonian intelligence which unites with and understands things that it would never have understood from within. It is therefore illumined. So the union is of intelligence and wisdom. Gnostic union, Da'ath, or intuition. The Hermetic tradition teaches the existence of three great arcana, the third of which is that of the marriage of intelligence and wisdom, Da'ath. And we look at the three crossing points on the Tree of Life. Which make St Andrew's cross. If you look at this one. The first great arcana, called the Great Magical Arcanum, is situated at the crossing point of the horizontal channel joining Netzach and Hod, and the vertical channel joining Tifereth and Yesod. It belongs to the world of formation. The second great arcanum, the arcanum of moral geniality, is situated at the crossing point of the horizontal channel joining Gedula and Gevurah, and the vertical channel joining Kether and Tifereth. It belongs to the world of creation. The third great arcanum, that of geniality in the domain of knowledge, the Gnostic arcanum, is situated at the crossing point of the horizontal channel joining Hokmah and Binah, and the vertical channel joining Kether and Tifereth. It is the state of consciousness that Kabbalists call Da'ath, that the Hindu yogis called Samadhi, and which we call here, with Henry Bergson, intuition. It belongs essentially to the world of emanation, that is, the sphere of divine respiration, the sphere of the Holy Spirit. The Great Magical Arcanum is therefore the centre of the cross formed by the current, inspired elevation, certainty of knowledge, and the current, beauty, love. It is a matter, therefore, of the task of realising the marriage of the creative fire of imagination with the limpid clarity of the waters of thought in the current which goes out from beauty and ends in love. I think that might be enough of the moon for now.